Welcome to YOPE, Your Optimal Personal Economy, the podcast that empowers high performers to think differently around earning, protecting, saving, investing, and growing their wealth. We see wealth, while encompassing money, also including other domains that hold significance, such as health, mindset, fitness, relationships, and diet. In every episode, your host, Justin Bennett, the founder and president of Bennett Financial, will discuss how he has been helping shift conventional paradigms in order to take control of their own personal economy. By taking ownership of your own circumstances instead of following traditional methods, you can truly yield the results that will produce solutions in line with your expectations. Let's get started.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Your Optimal Personal Economy. This is Justin Bennett here. Wanted to talk to you a little bit about a timely conversation, a conversation that is unfolding as we speak here in late January of 2021. And it's this excitement around the stock market, in particular, some specific stocks, some specific companies that are getting a lot of notoriety, and there's a lot of conversations. I don't know if most consumers out there or many consumers totally understand what's happening, but nonetheless, there is a lot of conversation, and it tends to bring people back to how they make investment and financial decisions. And a lot of times it's just out of pure excitement, out of pure emotion, or out of pure short-term sensationalism. I was contacted earlier this morning, as a matter of fact, by somebody who was asking me about a particular company that was being highlighted in this whole sensationalism. My response was a response that he probably did not expect, and it was a response that he probably didn't want to hear, but nonetheless, it was a response that I thought was appropriate and prudent as it relates to proper planning. What I commented back to this person was, I said, I took the position, I'm staying away from the frenzy that's currently taking place. It creates a lot of unpredictability. It can oftentimes be looked at as, to an extent, gambling, whereby you have to get lucky twice, which means getting in and getting out. So I went on to say that it tends to be a lot more refreshing to stay invested and use a core philosophy, a core portfolio, and depending upon one's risk tolerance and allocation, enjoy the long-term returns that may be possible with a particular allocation. And when you remain patient and you stay the course, and you focus on investing based on risk tolerance, based on time horizon, and you move away, or you shift away from this excitement and sensationalism that's been taking place, it tends to be a more enjoyable ride. The ride tends to be smoother, less turbulence, less bumpiness, and ultimately you may have a chance to have more wealth than if you get caught up in the very often and occasional excitement around these short-term investment decisions and companies and propaganda and excitement. So you may end up with more wealth, and a lot of that has to do with the mitigation of investor behavior. So investor behavior, when you're able to eliminate that, or at least control that over the course of time, your investments have a chance to perform the way that they're intended to perform. And it tends to be a lot more refreshing and a lot more enjoyable. And I think what happens is when you can take investor behavior out of long-term investment performance potential, it tends to be something that can be quantified. In fact, there's a large financial institution that many of the listeners, I'm sure, are familiar with, and it's a third-party study that we like to refer back to at times. It quantifies what an average investor is able to experience when they're able to control investor behavior as it relates to their investments. The conversations that we tend to have with our clients over the course of time is not subject to these short-term frenzies around different companies that who knows if they're getting inflated or not inflated or what's truly happening. But when you're able to kind of focus on the longer term horizon, the horizon that's important to you and important to your planning, you're able to recognize that you don't have to be subject to all the excitement and all the emotional sensationalism that's taking place out there. And by taking that long-term view of what your investments can do, you're able to move through time more confidently, with greater purpose, with more clarity. You could spend more time with your family. You could spend more time inside of your career or your craft, your business, if you're running a business or you're growing a business. If you have hobbies, you could spend more time running ultra marathons or going fishing or skiing or golfing or whatever your hobby may be. So I just think that there's a big correlation around how you view investments and the decisions around them, and specifically the behavior that could get in the way of how your investments may perform over the course of time if you continuously subscribe to the sensationalism that is currently happening and will continue to happen as we move through time. So I challenge you to think about it. It may relate to you. It may relate to somebody that's close to you. I suspect that many or most of our listeners can probably relate to this conversation. So I challenge you to think through it a little bit more and figure out what it is that you really want as it relates to your investments. So I appreciate your time here today. Again, this is Justin Bennett on Your Optimal Personal Economy. You could check us out on the web at bennettfg.com. You can check us out on social media, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, or Twitter. You could download the various white papers. You can subscribe to our podcast here. I think we're closing in on 100 episodes. Pretty exciting times. We appreciate all your attention, and we'll look forward to you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to YOPE, Your Optimal Personal Economy. We look forward to sharing more conversations with you and invite you to visit our website, bennettfg.com. That's BENNETTFG.com, where you can listen or subscribe to our library of YOPE podcasts. Follow us on social media, and as always, please feel free to share this episode with anyone in your personal orbit looking to become better informed and take control of their financial landscape.
Justin Bennett, Registered Representative of Park Avenue Securities, LLC, PAS, OSJ Northeast Planning Corporation, 1150 Raritan Road, Suite 201, Cranford, New Jersey, 07016, 908-709-0020. Securities products offered through PAS, member FINRA SIPC. Financial representative of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, Guardian, New York, New York. PAS is a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Bennett Financial Group LLC is not an affiliate or subsidiary of PAS or Guardian. California Insurance License Number 0H88104. This podcast is for informational purposes only. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by PAS, Guardian, or Bennett Financial Group LLC, and opinions stated are their own.